And we are now live. I think. Maybe.
We'll find out later.
Yep, we're live now. We had a little bit of technical difficulties getting logged in and everything set up, but I think we are good to go now. So, we started promptly.
We started technical difficulties promptly at 10.
We were prepared. But
If
isn't
that's
this
what you want to call it.
this is what this I mean, we wanted it to be organic, so hey, nothing like a good
Oh, well, it's definitely organic.
Oh, we have two viewers. I can't see who they are, so hello to whoever our peeps are watching us. So we're just getting everything figured out right now. How is everyone doing this morning? Good. Good, I hope so. So today is actually our anniversary. Um, so happy 2-year anniversary to us. Um, it's been a
Marriage anniversary.
oh yeah, marriage anniversary. But
Hey, Curtis. How are you?
so Natalie and I had considered um, doing live videos for a while. Just we should do it. We should do it. And then
What will we talk about?
yeah, what will we talk about? We don't want to just ramble and talk about random things.
Which I'm okay with if it ever came down to that.
Yeah, but we met with our pastor and his wife a couple days ago, and they usually do a Facebook Live, and it um, typically generates pretty good outcome. And we had just mentioned the idea of we thought about it, and they were just like, do it, just like no doubt. So um, here we are. We are doing it. um,
With technical difficulties and everything.
well, that's just part of it, especially with the whole wanting it to be organic.
Exactly. Do you want to open in prayer?
I mean, we could pray, I guess. I mean, I prayed before, but I mean, I guess our viewers could join us in prayer as well.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll go ahead and pray. Lord, I thank you for this day. It truly is a beautiful day right now. And I'm just thankful for everything you've done for us, through us, with us. Lord, I just pray for the viewers that are viewing today. God, that you would just be with them and strengthen them and guide them. And just let your peace be throughout this whole thing today, God. And Lord, just direct our conversation that we have. And I just thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Well, now we got the prayer out of the way, so we're good.
It is a beautiful day right now.
So, the topic, blended families. That's what we wanted to talk about today. And we actually kind of came up with like a name for our little stream. I guess we're going to start trying. We hope to eventually get the videos not only recorded live on Facebook, but hopefully to YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is where my technical difficulties came in. Like last night it was working cool, but this morning at 10 a.m. it decided not to work. So I'll have to figure some stuff out. But
and this is not just centered around, our lives will not be centered around blended families. We are going to talk about other things, but blended families is what we're going to be talking about today, and just all the things that come with it, and hopefully we can encourage a few of you.
The logo we have, it kind of has a little catchphrase, and it says blended by grace, built on faith, which is kind of, I guess, a little bit of what the lives and just our conversations will be. We don't care if you guys give feedback. That's cool too. Like if there's a topic that you guys want to hear us discuss or talk about, that's cool too.
Absolutely.
Um,
And we're no, we don't fear constructive criticism either. Well, I don't.
speak for yourself. No, just kidding.
I'm a chef and a baker, so constructive criticism is always welcome in my home.
And we have small kids, and they're the worst critics when it comes to food.
Hey Danielle, how are you? So lovely.
But yeah, so blended families is what the topic was going to be today. So I'll go ahead and just start going down that avenue.
Go
But
for it.
we're by no means experts about this at all.
No,
But
we're learning every day.
we've had a few years of experience with it so far, and
Wow. Wow is all I have to say.
we've learned a lot, and we're still learning, still growing. But especially blended families specifically, it's not something that you hear a lot of like church folk talk about. Like
No.
Dr. Gary Chapman, he has the 5 love languages. He has a lot of great stuff. He actually partnered with an individual. Totally forgetting his name right now, but they wrote a book, The Blended Family, in regards to the 5 love language.
We have
And it's
that book.
it's a pretty good book too, and they have a lot of good points. But until you actually like are in the middle of a blended family or around blended families, like it's easy to write stuff on paper or say it, but like when you're like actually in the middle of it, it's a little different.
When you're living in the middle of it.
Yeah, the fires and the chaos.
Yes.
And,
And sometimes, it's not even so much like we're a blended family right now and we will be, but a lot of people grew up in a blended family even when it wasn't so popular. And
or when they didn't have the term blended family,
yes,
they used another B word that I don't really
Yes.
care to say.
yes. And back in the back in the 80s and 90s, it was always step parent, and there was always just this stigma that came with it. And
A negative.
luckily now it's bonus parent, bonus mom, bonus dad, bonus daughter, bonus son. And I love that term. Hands down, way better. Which I think Cinderella might have ruined the stepmother thing for me.
Yeah, but yeah, that's another point. Kind of some things we would like to talk about is like the do's and don'ts from our experience,
Yes.
And she made that point about the step parent or stepmom, stepdad, which I know that's like a legal term that we use now, but
Yeah.
I don't like the term step son or daughter or step mom or dad, because I think that if you have a real good relationship and things are meshing well and you're working together with both parents and all the kids combined, and when you use the term step, for me personally, it just kind of, and there's a lot of other parents I think that feel that same way. When you say stepchild or stepmom, stepdad, it just kind of like it's not wrong to say that, but we like the term bonus mom, bonus dad, and bonus kids, bonus son, bonus daughter.
A lot of times I catch myself saying, some people, random people will say, like, those are all your kids. And I say, well, yes, they're all mine. Yes. But, like, if you must know, like, these 2 I birthed and, these 3 I claim as well. So.
It's kind of easy to pick out. 3 have hair this color and 2 have hair that color.
But, people ask questions and, as a bonus parent, you have to be eager to answer them.
And yes, I guess that's we have 5 kids all together.
I have 2.
She has 3, or sorry, I have 3, you have 2, we have 5.
Yes.
And that's the way we view it too. There is never a her kids, my kids thing.
No.
they all get treated the same way. I don't treat
Yes.
my kids differently than I treat her kids. They're
And it
all
is,
our kids.
it has been a struggle. And even my parents, you know, when him and I got married, they began to treat his three like they had three extra grandkids. And
Mhm.
hands down, like that was
Same for my
incredible.
mom and dad too.
And yes, same for his mom and his dad and his bonus dad,
Mhm.
Jack. You know, they treated all of them, and it was amazing because, you know, there is that age, you know, of hey, like, nope, this wasn't our first marriage. Nope, we are a blended family, and our families accepted everyone, and it's incredible, you know. And I know that there are people out there that are even our age, you know, second marriages or just, you know, certain issues, and their parents don't accept all grandkids or don't accept all their kids the same, and it should not be that way. It really shouldn't. That's just, but something I wanted to throw out there before I forget. You know, while we are a blended family, we still have relationships with the other parents. You know, my ex-husband, his ex-wife, we still connect and speak daily, and it's, you know, I wish I could say that it was easy, but you know, we still have good relationships. And something else I'll say is that you really need to be praying for, you know, the parent of your children. It does not matter. It does not matter how things ended, how the terms were, and you really need to be praying for them. That was something that I struggled with when getting a divorce, and when, you know, Jordan and I started dating, we got married. I had a really hard time learning that I really needed to just be praying, because at the absolute end of the day, they are still my kid's dad or my kid's mother. And while it was hard, as I worked it into my prayer routine every day, I noticed things did get better because God does answer those prayers. And I came to God with absolute humility.
That's the big thing, humility in all of it. It takes a lot of humility.
Yes. And I had to be very vulnerable. And it is absolutely, Nicole. Absolutely.
Yeah, Nicole, that's a good point. You said that
Oh, patience. I love that
patience
word.
is big. Yeah, we all just love patience so much, don't we?
I spoke to my sister yesterday about patience. And my sister is a pastor's wife, and she has 8 girls. They've been married for 25 years, and I spoke to her about patience, and I said, I think it's crazy. I thought I'd never have to tell you to have patience, to my sister, and she says, oh, honey. But patience is a big word.
And yeah, the ultimate goal in all of it should be um, the betterment of the kids, right? Because
Absolutely.
regardless of what happened with the parents in both sets of couples, the mom and the dad,
Yes.
their prior relationships, regardless of what happened, what went down, um, you know, those things kind of become a little bit more irrelevant, especially when you're talking about smaller kids, because the ultimate goal should be the betterment for them.
Yes.
I'm not saying that our lives are put on the back burner, that we just stop existing in our own identities, but when you become a parent, you just take on a whole nother realm of things. And then when you become bonus parents, it's like a whole another additional thing, because
Man.
you take on more kids that it's your responsibility to nurture, to take care of, to make sure that you're instilling good principles into them, so that when they grow up and they face situations that we have, that you know that you're faced with in life, that
Yes.
they have the tools they need to be able to overcome those things,
Yes.
regardless of the outcome. Or regardless of what kind of situation they get themselves in. Um, and it affects the child more than anything, right? So that's why it's important that as um, in a blended family with um, additional parents, such as bonus parents or um, you know people that were previously in the relationship, the kid's mom or dad, um, that you are working your best to have a good relationship. Now I know sometimes certain people like you like it just can't happen, right? But maybe not then. Maybe there's a time where you go through a period of time and there's a period of distance, and then maybe there's some reconciliation, but maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to do what's best for the kids always, like regardless of um, bonus mom, bonus dad, mom, dad.
Mm-hmm.
Like the goal of the whole group in a blended family should be taking care of the kids and the betterment of the kids. And that's when we have to be selfless as parents, which most parents should be. But it's another dynamic, when you're talking about blended families, because you have other parents involved and other kids involved and other family members involved as a whole.
Yes.
And it's just a different dynamic.
Yep. And once you start dating someone, once you are engaged to someone, or once you marry someone that has children of their own, that is your child too now. I mean, I'm not saying you should ever, there are boundaries when it comes to being a bonus parent, but you should step up and love that child like it's your own, and I'm not saying love them more than the other parent does, but like they're your responsibility now. Like you want that child to feel loved by their bonus parent, because you're only going to make things more difficult for everyone in the family. But and it was hard going from having 2 children to boom, now I have 5. I'm sure with him, he had 3. His life was already chaos. And then he's like, oh, well, I'd get 2 more, and one of them's older, so she can help out more. But for me, I thought I was done having kids in 2015. And then I end
Surprise.
up with, hey, you got another boy who's the same age as your son, pretty much. And then you got 2 younger daughters who are all completely different.
Oh, yes.
And it was a struggle, but looking at it now, I love that all 5 of my children are all 5 completely different. They all have their niche. They all have things that they are proud of, and I'm here for it, and I love it. But I knew when Jordan and I started dating, I was like, these will be my kids too, and I'll have to have a good relationship with their mother, because that is the only way this is going to work and not feel like a toxic environment. And I also don't want my kids growing up in a toxic environment, because I know a lot of us as adults, we kind of look back at certain things that maybe our parents did, and we think, but I want to point this out as well. Forgiveness is a huge thing, and that's blended families or any family.
Grace and forgiveness.
Grace and forgiveness, because maybe your parents did things a little differently and you just want to do it completely different, because I don't want my kids growing up like that. You need to give your parents forgiveness and grace, because guess what? It was their first time being parents too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's huge. It is.
You mentioned boundaries earlier. Why don't you talk a little bit more about just healthy boundaries?
I mean, I think every relationship has healthy boundaries.
It can.
Yes. And that is a loaded topic, but there are boundaries with having a blended family. one thing you should never ever do is talk about the other parent in front of your children. Do not ever make them feel like, the person who is also in their lives, the person that made them, created them, loved them. Don't ever, and I mean, we shouldn't really gossip per se, but don't ever say anything that could end up being hurtful to, because you're only, at the end of the day, you're only hurting yourself as a bonus parent, as the other parent. And, there is a lot of other boundaries.
I mean,
There's,
you should never negatively talk about someone in general or the other parent, but especially in front of the kids.
yes,
Like
I
that,
was
like in front of the
guilty.
kids, that has to be like a super controlled atmosphere, especially what you say and what you do, as far as in regards to the other parent. Because like with us, or with me more so, we have joint custody, so it's like a back and forth kind of thing with the kids. They spend time with us, then they go spend time here, and then they come back. So you don't want to create more discord and confusion. Like if I'm,
Yes.
dogging my kid's mom out and just all this hateful, bitter negativity. The kids vibe off that stuff. Like they may not say anything, but it still puts something inside of them, right? And then when they go back, there's a chance they might like try to talk about it or bring it up to their other parent, and then it just causes this
that
mess.
does nothing but hurt everyone.
And then it gives opportunity for the other parent to start saying other things too, and then it just puts the kids in this middle of a mess that they don't have to be in anyways.
Yeah. And I shared something on my personal Facebook page. I believe it was, like holding grudges. Like you are not a strong person if you've been holding grudges for years and years and years. All it has done is made you bitter. But I was very guilty of holding a grudge with, my baby's father. Like our divorce was, what do they call it, uncontested. I mean, it was fine. We agreed to everything. I have my babies most of the time, but before it was all said and done, like I blamed a lot of my insecurities, a lot of things on him. I did. And I held on to it for a while. And then eventually I had to forgive him. And oh, man, the freedom you get when you forgive someone that you should have probably forgiven a long time ago. But, you can't hold on to, the parent of your children, how it ended. You cannot hold on to that. Like, you've got to quit. And in some ways, like, the longer you hold on to it, your children can see that. And for the parents that have to put, have to take it one step further, and they're like, what's the problem? Well, I never got over, my mom and dad's divorce. And it's been years past. And it's just, it's like, gosh, it's like, what led the child to say that? It's some very deep stuff.
Usually, especially with like blended families, one parent came out of a relationship and so did the other parent. And sometimes those relationships were toxic and negative, and there was like a lot of hurt, and sometimes there's a lot of trauma that those kids have went through.
Yes.
And that's why it's important, especially in a blended family, when you're trying to reestablish everything.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it may not be ideal per se, but there's just some things you're gonna have to work through, and you're gonna have to have you're gonna have to have some intense, difficult conversations sometimes with either the other parents and sometimes with the kids. Just talking through some things like, hey, I know like me and your mom argued and there was this and that happened, and things just didn't work out, and sometimes it was messy, and then things are the way they are now, and like it's okay, right? Like the kids need to understand that, mistakes were made either way, both ways. Both parties were guilty in it. It's not a blame game, pointing fingers. Like, it's part of life. Like, sometimes things don't work out and things are difficult. So it's like, what are you going to do with it, right? That's where the ball is in your court, per se. That's when you have control and you can just decide what's best for me and my family.
Yeah.
And that's a good lesson to teach the kids as well, as far as, when they ask questions, like, don't just brush it off. Be honest with them. Be transparent as you can, obviously, because some things kids just don't even know necessarily.
I'm very heavy on the be honest with your kids. Every single one of them.
For better or worse.
For better or for worse. Be honest with them. Obviously, there are some adult things that they don't need to know about, but and I know a lot of kids, they mature differently. I know my oldest daughter, she had to mature a lot quicker than our boys did. I look at how she acted at 10 years old and look at the boys, they're both now 10, and it's the difference is night and day. And there were a lot of difficult conversations I had to have with her because the ball did not feel like it was in my court for a few years, but now she's 13 and our relationship is better than it's ever been.
You can't use my analogy, that's copyrighted.
Okay, gotcha.
Just kidding.
But when you have those difficult conversations with kids, I know, like, parents, we don't want to do it. We just don't. And something I will say, especially with May being, Mental Health Month, just remembered that. Maybe. I know growing up, May, it's going to be May.
They were playing that at Walmart.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, sorry.
We'll try not to make that happen too many times. But I know growing up, it was, what's anxiety? Why do you have anxiety? There's nothing wrong with you. You have a great life. It is totally okay to have difficult conversations with your kids. Have them. Like, be as transparent as you possibly can. Like, let it all out. Getting emotional saying that.
But it's true, though, because...
But, things are different now, and kids have to know, they have to trust their parents to talk to them about difficult things.
And the thing is, you're going to deal with it one way or the other, right? So if you have that difficult conversation on the front end, right, before things get any more messy or before things get any more difficult, if you just, like, face it up front, nip it in the bud, as they say. Like, if you just get it right from the front, before things...
before it gets ugly. Or before they feel like they have to reach out to, someone that maybe they think they trust, but they don't really trust.
Or before they start acting out and start doing things. Because that's just a natural process to where if there's, like, this resentment, conflict, like, just, they don't know how to deal with that. Like, because maybe they've never been taught, they don't know, they haven't heard. And, yeah, Danielle, that's a great point, that it is a good thing to do hard things with our kids so they know how, because
before it's too late.
If we don't teach them how to deal with difficult things, they're going to somewhat figure it out on their own, and guess who they're going to see it from? Their friends. And what about their friends that they don't know how, so they're out here just ain't nobody know what they're doing, trying to figure it out, and they end up just down this long road of just mess. We've all been there, some of us.
Yes.
I can't say we all. We've all been there in some way, some form. I grew up. I grew up in a blended home. People say broken home. My parents got divorced. I was 13. That's a difficult age for kids, right? Um, and I'm thankful because I had individuals in my life that sat down with me um, and had some conversations with me that ultimately, you know, molded some of my thoughts and um, kind of who I am today. And if it wasn't for those people, you know, there's no telling, right? But then I grew up, ended up, they say, what's the phrase? Anyways, you hate what you become what you hate, right? They say that.
Yes.
Well, I grew up and I realistically hated divorce. I hated it. I did. That's a true, honest confession. And the fact that it happened in my family. And then, I never really let that go until um, a couple years ago. And then, I got married, had kids, and then here I am faced with divorce too, which made that anger and that frustration even more so, right? And
Because
then
you didn't give yourself grace and
no,
you didn't forgive
I didn't give
your
anyone else grace
parents.
either. And then I became very resentful, very bitter, but thankful for the mercy of Jesus. I mean, really.
Yes.
Am I perfect? No way, Jose. Not even close. But I've grown and I've learned a lot. And I'm thankful that God is merciful and that He is a good Father. Um, I don't know where I was going with that random tangent, but okay. Oh, yes, about how having difficult conversations with our kids. I don't want my kids to have to go through the same mistakes I did, right? I mean, I think every parent should want that for their kids to an extent. Like, there's a certain time where you tell your kids, don't do this, and they want to be hard headed. And I'm the kind like, okay, go ahead. Keep not listening to me. Go ahead, go do it. And then they get hurt and something. It's like, I told you. And then she's like, well, I'm like, I mean, well, they're hurt. Okay, well, they got hurt because they didn't listen. And as a parent, like, we don't want our kids to get hurt. And I said that tongue in cheek, like I don't intentionally let them do things and hurt themselves. But it's like jumping on the couch. Like we tell you 100 times not to jump on the couch, which thankfully they don't do.
Yeah.
But like the time it happens, they jump on the couch, somebody falls and gets hurt. It's like, what'd I tell you?
If they're putting
We're not supposed to jump on the couch. Why? Because you get hurt. What just happened? We got hurt.
If they're putting their life in danger or somebody else's life in danger, i.e. their sibling, that's when I have to raise my voice. And
I don't think we have any life-threatening
say,
things going on in our
jumping
home.
on the couch can hurt somebody. Our oldest is 13, our youngest is 7. What if the 13-year-old falls on the 7-year-old? But, and I'm the kind of parent that when they do get hurt, I do give them some grace. Hey, are you okay? Is it bleeding? Do you need instant attention? Do I need to bandage this up right now? And then
working on that area.
I'm, so what did we learn from this?
I'm that way to an extent, unless it's something that
Well, you're the dad.
I tell them not to do repeatedly, and they do it anyways. I'm like,
you're the dad.
Oh, you hurt? Oh, well.
You're the
tough.
Dad.
But we also have one kid that can walk out in a field of sunflowers and get hurt somehow.
Oh, yes. Then we have another kid that barely gets hurt and then just cries to no end, like instantly. And it's just like, are you emotionally hurt? Are you embarrassed? Or are you actually hurt? Is this something we need to work on?
We have a nice wide array. Like we got everything. We got the whole board covered.
Yeah.
We got it all.
Oh yeah. I can't wait for them to be adults.
We could probably start a content channel just with the kids, and it would probably be the most popular thing on the internet, but I would not be able to sleep at night. So.
Nope, me neither.
But anyways, back to a little more serious note.
And just want to throw out there about, loving those bonus children, just to kind of give you, he shared being in a blended family or a broken family when he was 13. I just wanted to share that, my two older sisters actually, my mother is technically their stepmother. Now, I want to guess about 8 or 9 years old when I found out my parents had shared with me that, my sisters did have a different biological mother, and I was shocked. There was this instant feeling of, why did you wait so long to tell me now? But, for me, as the years went by, I thought, wow, I didn't even know that my sisters were technically my half-sisters. We all had the same dad, but I am my mom's only biological child. I had no clue because my mom loved my sisters from the day she met them, and she never looked back. I mean, we all got a brand new pair of shoes in August whenever school started. We all got the same amount of Christmas presents. I mean, she hugged us and kissed us and loved us, all three, us girls, the same. And so hearing it, wow, like they had a biological mom that didn't really show up in their lives. I mean, and I don't really want to speak on my sister's behalf, but it was hearing my mom like stepping up and being a step parent and then becoming one myself, in my 30s. I just thought, wow, my mom, like she did it in her 20s and like she didn't bat an eye. And then her mom, my granny, buying them Christmas presents, buying them coats and sending them off to Germany. Like, here's some coats for UNs, as they say up north. But, and it was just like, wow, my mom, she didn't skip a beat. She loves my sisters, and my sisters' children, her grandchildren, she loves them, and it's incredible. But
something else that I was thinking of that I wanted to add, like just something kind of practical, because like she mentioned, we have her kids more, and my kids are kind of split. Something that I'm careful of, right, is like as far as like going out to eat or going out to do things or going to the movies or going to do this or going to do that. There are times where I will go when it's just me and Natalie and the two. But then I don't want to do that too much. But then I also don't want to just go when I have everyone. So then it's like I only do things when I have my 3 kids and her 2, all of us. I do things like it's not like I only do it when I have my kids or her kids or and that type of thing. But
this
it's
goes
like
for like events, going out to eat, just those special little trips that you like to do with your kids.
I just don't want the kids to ever like look at it and feel like, oh well, he loves them more, he cares more about them. Like I think we do that really well. Like we do a real inclusive thing. And there's times where Natalie will take the girls, the 3 girls, and then I'm here with the 2 boys, and they're split up, and they're playing their Roblox or Minecraft or.
I think there was a time after a basketball game, my mom said, "Hey, which of your 5 want to come home with me and go to Grandma's house?" And I think
like one, Izzy, I think.
Well, no, and then there was another time that
That's right.
2 of them wanted to go. Izzy always wants to go to any grandma's house.
Izzy's always down for a trip.
She's down for
whatever.
Suitcase
is packed right now, ready to go.
She is down for whatever, and I love it. Love that about her.
But that also made me think of another point too, because I said my kids, her kids. I don't like that term either, and that's something else you want to be careful of too in a blended family, is saying, well, your kid.
Don't ever say it in front of them.
Don't say that. Don't say your kids or, well, my kid, or like don't make that distinction, because you want everyone to feel included, right? You don't want that like division, like because the enemy I mean, even with the kids, can make
The
them feel.
enemy is there, and the enemy is coming into happy homes.
And our kids are way smarter than we think they are, and they feel way more than we think they do. They have just as much emotion as we do. Now, they don't necessarily know how to express it as well as we do. They don't necessarily know how to, associate it as well as we do because we're adults. We've learned. So that's why it's our job as parents to talk to our kids,
Yes.
work with our kids.
Yes.
Like, it's not a, I'm not saying I'm a perfect father. I'm not a perfect spouse. I'm not a perfect co-parent. I'm not. But I've learned, and I can look at mistakes that I've made even as a father, even as a husband, even as a co-parent, a bonus dad. At the beginning, whenever we first got together, I was probably a little bit harder on her son over anyone else in the house, just because
Well,
he's a little rambunctious, right? But he's his own person, right? And I've learned, and so has he. He's learned that he can't be acting wild as a buck around me, which he's grown a lot as a person in general. Like he has grown so much as an individual. But I also identified that I was a little harder, so I calmed down some as far as like I gave him more grace as far as learning how to.
that was a difficult conversation. I had to just kind of tell Jordan in private. I said, listen, I really do feel like you're being a little hard on Jensen. And I had to remind Jordan, and this is a very difficult subject, and I'm praying that some of you all maybe have experienced this.
I told you to shut up.
I
I did. I really did.
I had to explain to him that Jensen has not had a father figure that is constantly in the house. My ex, the father of Jensen and Sydney, he's an engineer, and his job is an hour and a half away. He would not get home until they were pretty much in bed. So Jensen did not have any father figure so much to correct him or to stand his ground, just to teach him, mold him into a young man. He only had me. And I was the one that had to teach him, and it was a battle. I know it's an issue that we deal with, in these days. A lot of boys do grow up without fathers. It is unfortunate, but
But that's why
Jensen,
the importance of a blended family,
yes.
A wholesome blended family, is important as well. But
Jensen felt like he was constantly being attacked by Jordan, that Jordan was singling him out, and he finally broke down and told me about it. And it was a very difficult conversation. I said, baby, Jordan loves you. He loves me. He loves Sydney. He loves you. And he said, I always feel like he's like breathing down my back. And I had to then say, well, I will talk to him. And so I had that difficult conversation with Jordan. And Jordan, of course, was like, what are you talking about? He just instantly like, what are you talking about? Like,
who are you telling me what to do?
Exactly. And so I had to remind him that this is the first time Jensen's had a dad that was coming home from work, sitting down at the dinner table, having dinner with his family, and then he ended up being his basketball coach, which was.
I mean, I'm also kind of rigid.
Yes.
I mean,
and
pretty
so,
blunt.
And my son he does need that extra discipline. It is what it is. He's my son, so.
But anyways, I guess kind of a recap of everything. That's because we kind of wanted to keep everything around an hour or so, which I guess we're kind of getting close to that.
There.
We got a little bit more time, I guess.
Well, pray for everyone involved in your family, whether they be blended or not, and continue to pray.
Whether it's your ex,
yes,
your ex's family,
Hmm.
because in most cases they're still just as much involved in your kid's life as
Yes.
anyone else.
Yes.
And it so sorry not to interrupt you, but like, usually divorce and broken homes, as people like to say, but now we have this nice, positive, re-encouraging term of blended family.
Yes.
Just because people go their separate ways, just because people split up, um, doesn't mean anything has to be broken, right? Scripture tells us that God works all things for the good of those that love Him.
Absolutely.
So, in these cases where, um, marriages sometimes fall through, some people, it creates a toxic environment, and that's not a good place for the kids to do. And sometimes, ultimately, the best thing to do is walking away and splitting up. But that does not mean that it has to be a negative thing, right? It can be a good, wholesome, positive thing. Will it bring challenges? Yes, absolutely. It's going to bring difficulties. We face different things in our marriages now than just like, a normal married couple,
Yes.
because we're part of a blended family. So we have a little bit of different dynamic than anyone else does.
Mhm.
But everybody has their own dynamic, really. So it's like, what is the goal in all of it? Like, what's the end game? Like, what's the main focus for all of it? And for us, the main focus is our kids. Like,
Yes.
they're all involved. They're all their own unique individuals. We have some that are into sports. We have some that are absolutely not into sports. We
Some
have
that are very artistic.
some that are not artistic. We have one that wants to be Michael Jackson. We have one that wants to be Picasso. We have one that wants to be a famous soccer player.
Yeah.
We have one that wants to be a princess, and another one that doesn't really know.
Doctor.
Well, it changes, but it's not about us, really. Which we as far as a blended family goes, like, yes, we matter. Like, the way we communicate, the way we work together, the way we blend, the way we work with the other parents, all that matters, right?
Yes.
But also, like, the ultimate thing is, like, what kind of environment are the kids being put in? That should be the main focus in a blended family. Like, the whole outcome should be focused on what kind of environment are we putting the kids in? Is it an environment that they can grow, that they can love, that they can learn?
Thrive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, we've like when all this first started out, it was not good. Not good at all. And you can look at pictures of all of our kids
Yeah.
from the beginning to now, and you can see a night and day difference, because
Yes.
we're still learning how to create a good, healthy environment. But I'm really thankful for Natalie. She really is a big part of making all this work, really. I mean, there's no way I could even get close to doing half of what we do without her. So thank God for that. Just a prime example, right, is last night she asked all the kids, what do you want for dinner? Every single one of them, all 5 of them. Well, lucky for us, that takes care of dinner for the whole week. But, we go from like chili to pizza biscuits. So it's like, okay, she's a chef, but she'll make pizza biscuit because that's what Izzy wants every single week. So whatever.
I mean, it pains me to do, but I do it.
Or then when you ask me what I want, and I ask for, like, a 5-star 7-course meal, and you're like, really, bro?
All right, let's go. We'll do it. A meat and 4 veggies with
Wait.
bread and an appetizer. Let's do it.
Are you mad?
No, it's good.
But anyways, I guess we'll recap.
Yeah.
So a few do's and don'ts. If the term stepmom, stepdad doesn't bother you, that's fine.
Yeah.
But just for us personally, we like the term bonus parents. And then, just making sure that you're setting good, healthy boundaries
Yes.
that aren't selfish, that are actually beneficial to everyone involved.
Yes. And if you don't feel like you know the right boundaries, or the boundaries you have chosen are not working for you, just pray on it. Just pray on it. And pray on it with empty hands, because you have to have empty hands to receive the new thing.
And then don't talk negatively about the other parent. Don't talk negatively, just in general, but especially in front of the kids. And then don't make a big distinction. Don't make a
Yes.
divide between my kids, your kids.
Yes.
Don't do that.
And, you know, with the talking negatively, that is your child's parent. That is the father of your
Regardless.
children. That is the mother of your children. You know, if you're trying to build an identity in Christ in your children, you can't forget that they also have that identity. That's their parent.
DNA.
You cannot, I mean, gossip, slander, no.
Shouldn't do that
Absolutely.
anyways.
You shouldn't do it
But
anyways.
especially
yeah,
in front of the kids in regards to
yes.
their other parent or their other family.
If you want a strong
Just don't do that.
foundation for your family, your blended family, you know, you can't do it. You just can't.
Well, I think that's about it. You got anything else?
I do not.
All right, guys. Well,
Thank you
for
all
everyone
for
that
coming
joined
to our
and
first
commented.
live, and you can drop in the comments anything that you want to hear from us next, or
Yeah, maybe some topics or
some do's or don'ts that we did. You won't hurt my feelings. Him,
you're not gonna
I'll
have my
ease
feelings.
it out to him, but
But yeah, just let us know what you thought in the comments, and you know, maybe some future topics, future discussions. The video is going to be saved later, so people can go back and watch it. But yeah, thank you guys. You guys have a good rest of the day.